Hello everyone and welcome back to 3D Drawing for Model Railway. In today's lesson we're almost there with the crane now. What I'm going to be doing is just going around and looking for bits of detail that I can improve, some changes that I want to make, just anything that's going to be taking this model just that little bit further, that couple extra percentage to looking a little bit nicer. So the video is going to be a little bit bitty. I'm going to be jumping around as I jump between different items that I see on photos and changes I want to make. So hopefully you can keep up with it. If you can't, just obviously go back and skip through the video and try and fix those pieces that you do find are different. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be fixing is something I spotted when I'd finished the last video that I needed to make a change to this coupling area. So if we just let's disappear the runner and the jib here. The first thing I spotted was, and I should have spotted it earlier, I don't know why I didn't. My intention was I was just going to pass this coupling bar through the hole and then over the spindle, but as you can see, the circle at the end is bigger than the hole, so that isn't going to work. And I obviously can't make it any wider because I'd lose the detail of the two shackles coming down the side. So the obvious answer really is just extruding this bottom piece all the way out, and then you can slide the coupling up and down inside the model. Okay, so the next change I wanted to make was in and around the pinpoint holes for the chassis. What I wanted to do was just chamfer off the edge a little bit to make it a little bit more easy for the pinpoint to sit inside it. 1.2, hopefully that'll work. And that'll just give those just a little bit more room for the pinpoint to sit in there. I'm just going to take these in 0.2 millimeters. Obviously I'm making sure I've got the radio button checked here. Let's get rid of that body here, we don't need that anymore. Okay, so that's chassis done. Let's do the runner next. So selecting obviously that on the radio button, just going and doing the same thing here. So that's all of the axle boxes, just chamfered in. It'll give the pinpoint just that little bit more freedom where the pinpoint comes down at an angle. Okay, so next thing I'm going to look at is on the roof of the crane here, there's what looks like an exhaust on this side and something similar on the other side. Maybe it's a filler cap or something, but both of them may be exhausts. So I'm going to be looking at drawing those two within the crane body. So we'll select that radio button for the body. Okay, so let's have a look. Whereabouts is it located? We're going to be using offset planes for this. So that's probably up here somewhere. Just turn the chassis off so it can come underneath. And we're going to create an offset plane from the bottom surface there. I'm going to bring that up so that it's roughly whereabouts I want it. So if you look at the picture, the bottom of this looks like it's below the bottom of the roof line here, so maybe just going to come down just a fraction. Yeah, 12.5 millimeters. And then we're going to draw a sketch on that surface. Okay, so let's look at the location relative to this vent. It's pretty much sort of in the middle of it. Okay, and the height across the roof, okay, so somewhere sort of in this area here. So it's going to be using centre point rectangle, I think. Yeah, so maybe going for 1.6 by 2 millimeters. That looks okay as it is there. Let's just define that. 8.25. Too close to do that one. Let's try something else. And then hover over the top of the square I've just drawn. Hold the left mouse button down, it brings up this pop-up. Just scroll down until we get the profile selected, and then right click, extrude, and we can just drag that up. And hopefully that doesn't go all the way through, which it does. So how are we going to fill this in? Well, the obvious answer isn't always the easy one, unfortunately. Interesting. How am I going to fill that in? First of all, is there that step? Probably going to be flush. So, first thing is probably need to bring the offset plane up slightly so it doesn't step down in here. So if we look at what that step is, it's 0.39. So if we bring this up, so we don't have that step in there now. Okay, so what I think we're going to have to do is draw a sketch on there. Let's slice that. And we'll draw a rectangle to fill that gap in there. And just drag that back 0.4 millimeters to join. Do the same on all these sides. This is one of those fixes where unfortunately I don't really think there's an easy fix. You could maybe go back and increase the wall thickness, but actually there is an easier fix. Let's delete those. Okay, so if we go back in the history, it's going to have to be pretty much to the start of the history for the body. Let's roll back here. Yeah, there is an easy fix. So we're going to create a sketch on that inside wall. And just do a rectangle. It's going to use a little bit more resin, but it fixes this problem. Do that 1mm. If we jump to the end, because we've now got this block on the inside here, where we cut that out, won't have that issue anymore. There we go, so just adding that block has fixed that issue there. So I'm going to look at that, sort of compare it to what we've got here. It looks probably similar, very similar. I'm not going to bother drawing the little screw holes, I don't think they're going to show up on that, so there's no point. Let's jump across to the other side. We've got a similar thing on the other side. So again, we're going to need to create another offset plane for this one. So again, we'll go from that bottom surface. And if we look at the picture here, it's just slightly above where the roof line meets the side of the wagon, side of the crane. So if we just bring this up, and that needs to go slightly above, so maybe 11.3 up, and then create a sketch on that surface. Okay, position wise, it's pretty much right in the corner here. So we're going to be looking to draw it in this sort of area here, rectangle. I think something like that, so about 1mm by 1.5mm. 0.4e. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, let's go to the other end, that should snap easier. Okay, so we're going to go for 1.2mm there. Again, hovering over, holding down the left mouse button until we get the drop up, pick profile, and then extrude this upwards. Hopefully we won't have the same issue here. We may have to go in and fill in a hole. Nope, we've got that, that's fine. So let's look at that, compare it to this one. How does it look? So it's, you know, pretty similar. The top of that sort of looks level with the vent here. Okay, let's do that. So it's not, that needs to be a little bit probably shallower. Okay, so if we go back into the sketch history, edit that, I think that we maybe got, keep going to the bottom. Spin that round to the top. Okay, I think maybe 1.5mm here is probably too much. If we go down to 1, there we go. So that looks better. That's almost in the right place. So yeah, much happier with that. So again, we've got this little step down in here. I want to try and get rid of that if I can. If we look at the height here, that's 0.239. So if we lift this up, we just delete that, it says millimeters, but do plus 0.239 millimeters. What that will do is, why's that gone down? Okay, let's do minus. There we go. And what that's done is that's brought that flush now, so there isn't that little recess into it. Now looking at both of the photos, it's not particularly clear what, if anything, is inside these. If I find a picture that's any clearer, that we can maybe do some detail inside those little holes, but looking at all these photos, I don't think there is a particularly clear of what it is. So I'm just going to leave them as just two recesses there. If I can find one on the internet that gives us a better clear picture, then maybe I can go in and change it. Possibly there's going to be a hole that the exhaust comes out of, but for now I'm just going to leave those like that and then just continue going through looking for detailed changes that we could make here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to add detail wise is there's a seam on the top of the roof here. There's a little cutout and then it goes all the way across. I've looked on photos, I can't show because they're not Paul's photos to share, but this line goes straight all the way across other than this little cutout here on the top. So if we jump back into Fusion, to be able to draw that on this surface, we need to have an offset plane that's within the surface. Okay, so if we spin this round, we know we've already got offset planes that are within the surface because we picked them for drawing these two holes here. So if we just draw on plane 17, so construction there, 17, draw that plane. Okay, if we look at the cutout is just in front of where the door line is. The door line's here, so it comes out and across. So if we draw a small rectangle like this, and I'm going to coincidence that to that line there. And then draw another rectangle from that corner, and it comes about halfway down the door. Like that. Let's define these widths actually. So the width there, 0.2, and the width there, 0.2. Take this one all the way across. It won't snap to the roof line there. But if I just change the width there to 0.2 and then coincidence to the edge. Coincidence that to the line, which it already is. Define the length there. The distance across there. So I'm just going to select these profiles now. So again, holding down Shift button and then holding down the left mouse button to get a pop-up. Okay, right click, extrude. And I'm going to start from object, which will be the roof surface, and then I'm offsetting it inwards 0.2. Cut. Won't do it. I want to do it because some of it's not inside. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so I'm going to redefine a plane then. I'm going to have to draw a new plane. Finish that sketch. Construct an offset plane. So minus 14.5. So that's going to be plane 19. If if I right click on the sketch I've done, redefine sketch plane, cancel that. I'm going to drag the plane back before the sketch because otherwise it doesn't exist technically. That's gone a bit funny for some reason, so I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to want to compute again. And delete that offset plane and create a new one. So I'm going to roll a sketch history back before that drawing first of all. And then add this in. So it's -14.5. We'll roll the sketch history forwards. Okay, and then right click, redefine sketch plane, pick, it's now plane 20, click on OK. Hopefully that's going to work now. So now edit the sketch, I can go into it, select these profiles, right click, extrude. From object, select the roof, plus 0.3. Cut. That's not going to work either. Let's see if it will emboss. So the emboss has gone some of the way across, but not all of it. Okay, so I'm going to try something else. I'm going to, if we delete that construction plane, which will throw up an error in the thing there, which is come back one. It's going to create a construction plane off of that surface there. And then I'm going to define the construction plane now to that one, because that's pretty much the bottom of the roof. Sketch. Let's try selecting these again. can I do it? Could be I need to complete these two. Okay, let's try removing. Profile, see if it'll cut now. Yes, it will. Okay, so it must be something to do with this profile going across both planes, both parts of the roof here, which is fine because we'll just keep trying it a different way. Sketch. See if we can now try just doing this profile and extruding that from object. Oops, that's okay. Feature objects come from that profile. Let's try that again. It's playing up. Profile, right click, extrude from object, select the roof, down, cut. Doesn't like it. Okay, what if we select that plane? Doesn't like it. So it's got to be something to do with going across the profile. So if we edit sketch, catch up, see if it will, and then we draw a line across. That coincidence to that line there. That should split this into two parts. Select that profile, extrude from object, select that, cut. Okay, so that's worked. Do this profile, extrude from object, cut from there, 0.3. Get there in the end. Why have we still got this cut here? Could be because it's coming round. Yeah, it's fine. So I'll extrude that bit there to that surface, fills that hole in. Is it cutting the other side at all? No, that side looks okay. Filling something here. Yeah, I think we probably do. If we right click and loft that profile to that face, tell it to join, hopefully that will fill in that gap. Not. No, it's actually cutting to the roof. This is part of the doorway. Tempted to maybe just leave that because it, as I say, this is the roof line. That side's fine. Happy with that. It goes all the way across the roof, and yeah, this is part of the door. So I think I'm just going to leave that as it is. But I'm going to hide this little hole that's on the side here. Let's spin around and show you. There's a little gap here. I'm just going to hide that by just extruding this up slightly, just to fill the gap so that's a solid there, and that is just the roof line joint. Okay, so one thing I've just spotted is around this pivot we've got this little rectangle. So I'm going to fix that crane body. So coming in to this area here, we're going to create a sketch on the main body surface. May need to extrude this out a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Before we do that sketch, we'll leave the sketch there for the moment. Before we change that, we're going to extrude this out a little bit more. Let's go another 0.1. Come back into this sketch. Use the center point rectangle. We've got the center of the circle there, which is good. So we can draw that rectangle from that point. It's pretty much square all the way around. That size. Probably looking at about 1.7. Extrude this forward 0.1, and then we'll still have that protruding slightly. I'm just looking at this shape here that we drew, which I believe is some sort of horn or siren. And I know I said in an earlier episode that I was going to just leave it so small. Looking at it, I'm not entirely happy with it, so I'm just going to do a little fix on there to try and improve that just a little bit. So I'm just going to take center circle. About 0.9 millimeters, I think, 0.8 millimeters. A little bit. It's really starting to make my laptop work a little bit harder on this now, because there's a lot of parts details that we've drawn. Where's that cutting the center circle out? I'm going to go now create a little sketch on there just to try and improve. Obviously it's not touching on this part, so I'm just going to draw a small rectangle. I'm not worried about size. I'm just going to use this to extrude, join, and extrude to that face there. Click on OK. It's just going to add a little bit of support in there to hold that. And then I'm going to chamfer off this top edge. So 0.2 there. Yeah, oops, showing that too much. Can't see it. I think that looks just a little bit more refined there, a little bit neater. Okay, so I've gone over the rest of the crane here, and I think I'm pretty happy with all the rest of the details that I've got. I can't see anything that sort of stands out at me that's missing or anything I think I could make it any better. I'm sure after I've printed it, something will pop up. So the next thing I'll be looking at doing is creating the print files for this, which I'll do on the next episode. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today's episode. If you have, please like and subscribe, and make sure you're notified every time I upload a new video.